another Real Talk podcast here. I'm one of your hosts, Shane from Rock Solid Coaching, and I have my co-host down below me, if you're watching, George from Flex Success. Guys, it's the Real Talk podcast. We're here to talk about real shit, controversial shit, taboo shit, whatever you want to call it. We're here to answer your questions and queries on those questions that you might be a bit afraid to ask or potentially think it's a bit taboo to ask. But today we've got a special episode. We're coming off the back end of last week's episode. We had one great question in that episode where they asked about what do they expect and what should they do before they compete. So I thought, hey, why not get the IFBB's newest pro on the show, Cam George. We're going to spin the shit with him, talk about a bit of his off-season, coming into it, his season, his wins, his opportunities, setbacks, and how he's progressing into the off-season. So Cam, mate, welcome to the show.
Howdy, guys. How are you?
Okay, so look, Cam, give us a quick, for people who don't know who you are, give us a quick rundown on who you are, what you do, and so they can know you a little bit.
Yeah, cool. I'm an electrician. Love bodybuilding. Won my pro card on my second round of competing in, what was that, 2022. So that was very unexpected. I didn't really plan on that happening. That just kind of just happened, it's been a bit of a whirlwind since then, but it's going good.
So this, me and Dean spoke about this when you was in line going into the show where you won your pro card. You were saying how your thoughts of being a bodybuilder were not like most people chasing pro card status are like these people that are living and breathing bodybuilding. They're coaches themselves, and they're doing all these things that are really in the industry. And for someone like you who's just come along with like an enjoyment for the process and just wanting to do your thing and improve your physique, to just kind of land in that window where you took the chance to take that pro card, like how did that feel for you? From your expectations of what you might thought have happened when you started competing to when that finally materialized really quickly.
Well, yeah, it was overwhelming at the time. Like I didn't know what to feel because it wasn't on my radar at all. Like I wasn't going into the competitive season or the shows, like expecting that or wanting that to be the outcome. So it crossed my mind a little bit when I won the stage show. I was like, holy shit. Like I didn't even expect that to happen. So when I won the stage show, I was like, holy shit. Like, maybe at least I'll be like in the overall or something potentially for the pro card, but I never even considered winning it. Like, I was almost like happier about winning the state show than I was about winning my pro card because you're in your own state or like your friends and family and stuff are there. Like it was kind of got a bit more out of that than when I won my pro card.
Do you know the nickname you got after the state show?
No, what was that?
You don't know. So they started calling it was actually all over social media too, the Monster Killer.
Oh, really? Yeah. Actually, Tony said something about that. Like after I won, like he introduced me as like the Australian Giant Killer or something like that when he gave my pro card. But I thought that was a bit cheesy, but like that, yeah, whatever.
Mate, so you're an electrician by trade, working day in, day out. It's a little bit that Ronnie Coleman sort of story. Ronnie Coleman was still a police officer for his first 3 Olympias. How did you find juggling your work life and training at the same time, preparing for your pro card?
I find it like on the start of prep, it's fine. Like there's no issues there. It's almost a good thing because you just get in a rhythm. You go to work, go to train. You come home and get ready for the next day, shut things down, go to bed. That's it. Like, it's just tick the boxes each day, get it done. When it gets to like, not even, it's different for everyone. It's not like an 8 weeks out or 6 weeks out or whatever. It's a certain level of body fat. Once you get to that certain level of body fat where you just like, it just starts to be harder to be at work, like mentally, physically. Like you just have to push through it. But I think it can be a good thing, as in it's a distraction from sitting around all day thinking about your next meal, wondering I'm so hungry and stuff like that. But it's also hard at the same time.
100%. I mean, I used to work on site before being a coach. I was tarmacking quite a lot, and I remember trying to prep in the past. And like you said, rightly so, Shane, Cam, it acts as a distraction up to a certain point, and it was really good for managing my dietary fatigue and hunger signaling. But it was a crossover where once I'd hit that body fat percentage where I just felt like I was slogging my feet, every step was heavy. Work become a massive problem. I was trying to find every single which way I could get out of it. So how do you manage your fatigue, like in them latter stages, once you cross that threshold of body fat that is uncomfortable for you?
Trying to spend as much time actually relaxing as I can. So making sure you're getting your steps in as like early on in the day as you can, so you're not trying to chase your tail at the end of the night. I was also finding that caffeine was really bothering me when the later into prep. So I pulled like pretty much all caffeine out, because anything that was giving my sleep and recovery, rest time, anything that was giving me issues there, I just pulled it out just to try and maximize rest and recovery.
I think that's quite a good point there about the caffeine, because it's not the done thing. Not to, as you get more fatigued during prep, people obviously start increasing their caffeine dosage and their stimulants to try and give them that full sense of energy throughout the day. And like you just said there, it becomes to an extent overstimulation, and it becomes a hindrance on your ability to then sleep effectively, get into good deep and REM sleep. So I think that's a good point for people listening. Like, when you start getting into the back end of preps and you start to really feel dietary fatigue, don't instantly try and think increasing stimulants, increasing your caffeine is going to offer you some kind of release, because you're going to see a negative skew in other elements that are more beneficial for your progress at that point.
Yeah, I was definitely noticing, like, even if I had like a monster or something, it's like 150 milligrams of caffeine. If I had one of them during the day, that would even affect my sleep at nighttime. So I don't know if that's me just different or if it doesn't make sense, but that's just like how I felt.
We talked about this the other day. I was in the same boat, that even just a Coke, no sugar with dinner at night time, even that caffeine at a certain point in my prep started affecting me and started fucking up my sleep. Like, it's fuck all caffeine in it, but it still had that effect on me.
I mean, bear in mind, your normal sleep is like 3 hours.
Yeah, that is true. It's fucking bad right now too. Mate, so throughout your prep, you done the extended prep, did you? Done what, about 28 weeks for your prep?
Yeah, so in total it was 28, because we started off preempting it was going to be in March, like the Arnold's normally in March. And then like when the dates come out, well, we started, at 24 weeks out, what we thought was. And when the dates come out, we're like, oh shit, we're a bit ahead here. So we ended up being like a 28-week prep in total.
But did you find that was like more advantageous for yourself? Like, you didn't have to diet so hard at the end of it and sort of eat out of it a little bit?
Yeah, definitely advantageous. Yeah. So we just took the same approach, like still go hard at the start, try and get the body fat off at the start as quick as we can, and then back off a little bit in the later stages. But I definitely like longer prep.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. I'm finding it more capable or easy, I suppose. I don't want to say easy because it's fucking hard, but compared to those 18-week slogs.
Yeah, definitely less stressful. Coming into this next prep, obviously I know you still got off season to finish off. Where would you say like body comp is in comparison to start points back then?
Better this time. Yes. Yeah.
Do you think you'd still want to opt for a longer approach?
We were talking about this the other day, because we're doing a tidy up now. So I don't think we'll need that much time to pull body fat down. But I still think like not to be, I think from 24 weeks or at least 20 weeks, you want to be having like no off-plan meals. Like, you just want to be tracking everything to a T, like not missing a thing. I think even from 20 weeks, even if you're not in a deficit from then, I still think I'd like to do 20 weeks at least.
Yeah, and in setting in them good habits and daily tasks and stuff that you have, like you said there, with the off-plan meal structure, and being a little bit more militant with those off-season kind of leniencies that we give ourselves.
Definitely, because I have no issues with like that whole 28 weeks. I went pretty much without, not pretty much, I did go without having any off-plan meals or anything. It doesn't bother me at all. Like, once you get in the groove, and then you're fine.
I like that, getting the groove. I talked about consistency this morning on Instagram. That one of the things is getting your meals in check and make sure the consistency is the key. me for consistency is that, the same meals day in, day out is no dramas. I'll simply change something with a little bit of cinnamon or a little bit of thyme, a little bit, some sort of herb, and it can completely change a meal for me. And I'm happy to do the foods day in, day out. But there's so many people out there that they need that, every 4 days. I need a change. I need a change.
Yeah, no, I just kept it. I would write, like I'd do my check-in on a Friday, get my response on like a Friday night, and then I would write my diet according to what the macros he gave me for the week. I would write that, and then I'd pretty much just stick to that for a week, and I wouldn't change it. I'd at least run the same diet for a whole week without changes.
Oh, so you'd still change week to week, would you?
If I feel like, I want to change something a little bit, like maybe just, maybe you might just switch rice to potatoes or something as you start getting hungrier or stuff like that. I would make a change on a Saturday, and then I would just run that until my next check-in.
Hey, cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that approach. Mate, we'll talk about your prep. So what do you think you've done well in the prep compared to your first line? So what wins do you reckon you had throughout the prep compared to your first one?
Wins. Definitely managing, actually knowing what to expect, knowing what's coming, like knowing what the fatigue level is going to be like and what the energy levels are going to be like being like preemptive about that, so you know how you're going to feel. Being able to manage that as well. So like I moved my training to 2 days on the weekends. So train Saturday, Sunday, and then only training 3 days during the work week. So I wasn't getting your training sessions in after work when you're tired and you can't be bothered. So I found that beneficial as well.
Good plan. I like that.
Also, too, what else? One thing I did do this time around that I didn't do last time was have a fasting window in the morning. So I would pretty much get up out of bed, do my morning thing. I'd fast until let's say I got up at 5:36. I wouldn't eat until 9:30 to 10:30.
Yeah.
And I found that just I wasn't too bothered in the morning not eating. And then as the later stages in the day, I would get hungrier and hungrier. So I'd still have 5 meals during the day after that fasting window, but they'd just have smaller gaps in between them and they're slightly bigger. So
yeah.
I found that to be really beneficial.
Yeah, keeping you feeling fuller for longer throughout the day. There's something that we've been toying around with over time. Keep increasing that fasting window, obviously for sup purposes. With the GHUs, trying to increase that fasting window for lipolysis processes. But again, thinking more like the environment of the day, condensing all your meals. Like you could even fast. Like with some people, I tend to fast right around to 12 o'clock if they can.
Yeah,
on really really low food, especially some of my female competitors, so they can condense all that food into a shorter time frame. That appetite response and that feeling of hedonic hunger kind of drops off a little bit because you're filling up that space. It's a really really easy, non-invasive way of just kind of helping you manage your hunger signaling without having to take something to control it or find these other external methods that people are using, like nicotine and things like this. Yeah, definitely a very smart tactic for that.
Yeah, I definitely found it beneficial. I'll be running that again next prep. I tried to stick. I didn't actually get hooked on the vape train either, so I'm a bit proud about that one. But
yeah, I'm on the vape train. I'm also on nicotine. I've got nicotine gum now too to try and limit the nicotine vaping so much. It's actually from the back end of Dean and Lizzie's podcast, because I've found myself that I've gone from having it before a meal to keep the hunger at bay, that it's actually fucking delicious. And it's nice. Like we've got this mango banana one, and it's just I just have a taste, and then it's fucking next thing I'm fucking down, I won't do that again.
Dean tried to get me on the vapes too, but I'm like, no, I just didn't want to do it. I don't know. We bodybuilders put too much shit in our bodies anyway. It's just another thing that I don't want to do, So
were you ever a smoker when you were younger?
No, or maybe just stupid, out socially, out drinking or whatever, and everyone's in the smoking area. I'll have a cigarette or whatever, but never going out and buying packets of cigarettes and smoking just randomly during the day and stuff. No, never.
Yeah. See, this is an interesting one I've had with clients that have asked me about nicotine usage and wanted to use vapes and things like that. And I've asked them straight away, have you smoked in the past? And when the ones that say they have, I'm a little bit more reluctant. I mean, I'm someone who used to smoke when I was younger, quite regularly, frequently, 20 a day back in my younger days. And picking this up was probably the worst thing I ever did, because I had every good intention running through the prep, using it for its intended purpose, appetite suppression, nootropic, cognitive enhancement. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll be fine. It'll be fine. I stopped smoking months before. I'll get to the off season and I'll be fine. Here we are, 4 months deep. I find that people that have these rooted addictive natures kind of carved in their brain's reward mechanism, the minute you stimulate that pathway again, you're fighting a losing battle to kind of remove yourself from that. Now, again, talking from.
Do you find that's affecting your appetite in the off season at all? The nicotine?
I've been toying with this one because my appetite usually skews once I cross into new territory anyway, but I can't say for certain that this isn't having an effect. I know that it's an appetite suppressant, so there is some down regulation that's happening here. Another reason why I'm trying to cut it out is so that I can keep progressing in that off season efficiently. But it seems to have happened at the same point. Like up to this point where I got to this body fat and new scale weight and new territory, this hasn't been a hindrance.
Yeah.
It's funny with me being the vape, the missus, because we're both ex-smokers for a long time as well. And now the missus has been on the vape a bit. And I've only got one vape in the house. I took it to work today with me, and she's like, when you come home, you got the vape. I need the vape.
Fiend.
Well, we'll talk about your wins. Let's talk about some setbacks, mate. So was there anything in your prep itself? So we've got to concentrate on the prep. You think you've done wrong, or where you screwed on, or something you think that you binged a couple of times, or anything like
that? Okay, so setbacks. We'll start with, I think, training setbacks, and this was before prep. So this was coming out of my 2019 show. In 2020, I injured my back in the gym. Actually, herniated my disc, and I spent a week. 2 days at home in bed, in agony, it's the worst pain I've felt in my life. I got my dad to come and try and take me to the hospital. So I just couldn't handle it anymore. I'm I need to go to the hospital. I couldn't even make it to the car. So they ended up calling an ambulance to come get me. They fed me up with a green whistle. So that got me to the ambulance and stuff like that. So
I think wicked, eh?
got to the hospital, and I spent a week there, and they ended up doing an MRI test and all sorts of jazz, and MRI scan, and they ended up having to put a nerve block in my spine, under in type of epidural type thing, under under ultrasound, and that got me up and moving, but it was still I'd say at least a 6-week recovery of going to see physios and stuff to just get me walking around without any pain at all. So that was a big setback to training. 2020 was pretty much a write-off for me after coming out of the 2019 show. So
especially when you consider the time frame, that 6 weeks in such a crucial point coming out the back of show, that 6-week window is kind of where you set yourself up to have the efficient growth phase. And obviously you not being able to move around, walk, do expenditure. I can't imagine food was probably as consistent around that time as well. It probably had a bit downstream effect later on into that progression.
Yeah. So definitely. So pretty much spent the majority of 2020 then there was the lockdowns and stuff as well. That happened pretty much. I actually do remember this. I started getting moving again, being able to okay, I can go to the gym now. I might be able to go back and start training. And then I think it was a week or 2 weeks into training again, and then it was lockdowns. So then I pretty much didn't train for, I think it might have been. Do you remember how long the gyms were closed for up here, Shane?
Oh,
too long.
It was over 9 months at one stage there, and then when we were actually able to get in, you had to book in time slots. And then even getting those time slots are only 45-minute time slots, and then you're only allowed to go to one zone. They had all the gyms separated in zones too.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah. Remember training at World Gym after that, and you had all the separate zones and stuff.
Yeah,
and everyone was just walking underneath the flags and the ropes and shit. No one gave a shit, but it was pretty funny.
Yeah, Australia must have been so much stricter with their regulations. Over in the UK, I think we might just be arseholes as nature, because we just didn't do stuff. I was still going to the training, still going to the gym. Everyone stayed open.
Yeah.
I think we're just probably not very nice people.
I think they set it up like that just to make it look like they're doing the right thing. But then once people are inside the gym, what are you going to stop people from doing that? Not really.
I mean, I remember we had police visits come around a couple of times. Once people had kind of dobbed us in, they was coming around to check on us, and we were hiding upstairs in the cupboards and shit. Fucking awesome. I do miss that. It was good for me because I still got to train, but it was fucking awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, anyway, after the lockdowns happened, we started getting got the gyms back open again. I started training again. And this was the time when I think Dean started hooking up with Joe, getting coached by Joe. And he was doing this like transformation thing. Because in my mind, I did that one show in 2019, and I'm like, fuck this. That was like killed me. I'm not doing this shit again. That was like, I'm done with bodybuilding. I'll still train. I'll try and get bigger, or whatever else, but I'm not doing another show. So Dean was starting with Joe, and he started doing it off season, and like he was progressing well, getting bigger, staying lean. You know, like doing like a long off season. And I was just watching this unfold, and I'm just like, fuck this guy, you know, I want to do this too. So, I think I started back with Dean, I think in October, that was 2020. And then we had to do like a mini cut before, for an off season, you know, just to get my body fat down. So I think we did like a 6-week mini cut or whatever, pretty aggressive to get the body fat off. And then I think we kicked things off in the start of 2021 for an off season. So I did a 6-month off season, like from the beginning of 2021 up until about June, July. And then I had like 3 months, I think, at maintenance. And I think we started our prep for the 2022 season A show. I think that would have been around October. So
realistically, the off season for your growth phase is pretty shortened, really.
Yeah, that's like the first legit like off season I've had was that 6-month growth phase in between the shows. Because on my first show I did in 2019, I was just a normal gym goer, you know, just loved training, like loved bodybuilding, but never really knew how to train, you know, like, or not train, but like, you know, track progression, how to eat properly. Dean taught me how to eat properly. Like I never knew any of this sort of jazz. So I was just, you know, all bro science shit. So
what about in your prep? I think we really want to know, like, was there a night you smashed out a bucket of ice cream or went to sushi train and ate $100 worth of sushi or?
Nah, I'm a bit of a fucking prick to myself when I'm in prep. Like I just won't take no for an answer when it comes to me. Like I'll just follow the plan and that's it. No questions asked.
Yeah.
So when it comes to food and stuff, no.
See, I've spoken about this mentality in some of my clients before, and someone who comes to mind is Matt Baker. He's someone who lives by the 1%. It's every single day. I can't. Some people can't live like that for too long before they burn out. But in individuals like yourself, Cam, there who can just switch that mentality on, and it is every single day counts, and you do not miss a beat because you owe it to yourself. You find that the transformations and the progression when you do fully give 100%. To be absolutely phenomenal, and trying to get that installed in all competitors. Hey, you don't need off-plan meals. This is not the time where we need to be offsetting your digestion or having these luxuries of untracked meals here. It's not inclusive towards the goal, and trying to get them to understand the goal is more important than the meal. It's more important than the food. That food is coming is a very hard thing to kind of drill into people early on in their competitive career. And I find people still like 2 or 3 preps in are still kind of fixated on that. I diet really hard through the week and I get my big off plan on the weekend. So to hear you have that mentality kind of installed quite early on is pretty damn impressive. And do you think that kind of at times, like you said, to Dean teaching you about food and showing you how to eat correctly?
Yeah, that was definitely Before this, I knew nothing about how to eat correctly. So, and then like how to actually flexible diet as well. So I would generally I would stick to my meal. I'd write a meal plan every Saturday after I got my macros for the week. I'd write a meal plan for myself. I would stick to that all week. On the odd occasion where I just feel like something else, I would make let's say I want to make a homemade pizza or something like that. I would make it, but it was always without question, like it would hit my macros to the T. But that would only happen, maybe 3 times or something like that. As soon as I got onto the creamer, like the rice flour, cream of rice, it's like eating a fucking dessert every day, man. Like that satisfied all my cravings and stuff. Like that was just delicious every day. So that was good enough for me.
I macroed out a pizza last week and actually sent it through to George to make sure it was right to eat.
Yeah.
Mate, I forgot to send you a picture. I did exactly that recipe you sent me. I made it the other night.
Oh,
awesome.
That's the one you showed me in the gym the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. But then, yeah, sorry, you were saying setbacks. So yeah, I didn't really have any setbacks during prep, as in like falling off the bandwagon or anything like that. I think around 8 weeks out, my weight just, I think, jumped up like 3 kilos. And that put a bit of stress on me, like, because I just like didn't know what was going on, you know. So we ended up having to do like, what do we do? Because we normally do like high carb, moderate protein, low fat diet. We end up switching to a like pretty much just low carb, higher fats and protein, like moderate protein, and just to sort of try and wash off any fluid. We did that for 2 weeks, and that kind of got me sorted, but I'm not really too sure what was going on there. I think it might have been a reaction to GH or something like that. I don't really, or maybe just stress was getting too high. Yeah, don't really know. But that was the one little hiccup that happened during prep, but then after that, everything just smooths out.
Yeah. How do you manage? Because you're a father as well, so obviously you're working full time, you're bodybuilding, you're a father. How did you find, doing your father duties? Let's call it father duties. I've got 2 kids as well, and also prepping at the same time.
Super tough. Yeah, it's very tough. Yeah, I don't really have any like direct answers for you. You just have to like turn up for your kid, and it sucks sometimes, man. Like you feel like a shit parent. Like, I don't know how people say to themselves, like, I do this for my kids and this sort of shit. Like, no, you fucking don't, man. This is a selfish sport, and you're not going to be the best parent, and you kind of just have to make the best of it that you can.
See, I can't see attain to having a child myself, but I know just like social connections, and even my fiance, even being around my missus, like, it's not like it's your fault, and it's not your intention to be blank and to be drawn back from these people that are you around about and you care about. But the lack of physical brain function at some extent, like, people will talk at you and you can't hear what they're saying. Your brain just doesn't want to process it because you're so fixated on just conserving all the time. And that must be quite again, I can't relate to having a kid myself, but I'd imagine, I don't know, how old is your kid, Callum?
My son, his name's Boston, and at that time he was 8, so.
Okay, yeah. So he is a little bit older, perhaps, a little bit more articulated to kind of understand a little bit more about what you're going through, So he can kind of be involved, I guess, which is kind of cool.
He remembered the first one too, so he kind of knew what was going on. But like, you don't want to be that person, Like, it sucks, But it is what it is. Even my dog, man, like, I normally give him a shitload of attention. He even like doesn't get much from me when I'm like that lean. So I don't even want to take him for a walk with me, just because like the effort of him like pulling on the lead. It's like, I don't want to have to deal with that right now. I just want to walk. I just want to do my steps so I can come home and relax.
Yeah, and all of those little additional things are going to frustrate you massively.
Yeah.
I learned early on from my first comp back in 2018. I learned after that, like with my wife and my kids, that say sorry quickly. Because those times you snap, you say the wrong things, like they put the salt on the wrong side of the table and you flip out. So say sorry quickly.
Sorry, how much trim were you on at that point?
That's a fucking lot.
Not on the table when he flips the table.
Fucking stupid shit, mate. Stupid shit. Cam, how have you found, so now you got your pro card, you've transitioned into the off season. Like, how have you found that transition period been for you? Like, obviously you've done your recovery diet.
Yeah.
Did you find the recovery diet difficult?
It's hard. It's hard for anyone. Like, there's no recovery diet or coming out of a prep is harder for me than doing the diet. Just staying at that level of body fat when you're just fighting off hunger with no real reason to, other than you wanting to set yourself up for a productive off season. It's tough, but I managed it a lot better this time. So we did like, I think, a 6 or 8 week recovery phase after the show.
I think this is the recovery phase post show is something that, again, for like first time competitors listening in, you don't have a clue how you're going to respond. You've never been in that environment or that territory before, and it is going to be excruciatingly torturous on your mental health, trying to understand why the hell your body's trying to force you to eat food, even though say someone has a binge in their first ever recovery diet or post show experience. even though they're full to the point they feel sick, their brain's still telling them, like, we need more food, we need more food.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Understand how to manage that it's a very daunting thing for people because they don't
Mm.
understand the severity of it when they come to it. I
Yeah.
think over time, it's a good thing for people to hear. Obviously, you saying, Cam, someone as high up in the industry as you are now, that even you still struggled in the second time around, but you learned, the second time around, you took lessons from the first that you applied into the second that helped you to manage that a little bit better.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I still kind of kept doing my same routine because during prep I was doing a fast in the mornings. So utilizing that fasting window so I can cram some more food in at the end of the day to keep me like satisfied. So I still utilize that. But yeah, it was just toughing it out for that 8 weeks and stuff. I think my body weight went up like maybe I think 5 or 6 kilos.
Oh, wow, that's good.
Yeah, from stage weight. So it was tough, but we stayed lean.
Did you find you trying to macro track a little bit more excitingly? Like, did you find yourself drawing on a lot more like nicer different food sources and stuff that you hadn't had before, or would you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So
and you're still trying to maybe volumize your food and all that sort of jazz, just to stop yourself from being hungry. But yeah, you're definitely trying to venture out a bit more.
But did you keep some consistency in the rest of the daily meals?
Yes, yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yes, another thing that people get massively wrong when they come out the post show with the macro tracking element, like the people that kind of understand how to macro track food, they take it way too far the other way, and then when they come out the post show, they're having Pop-Tarts and cake for breakfast, and that's like all their meals. They are like all these luxury foods, but it's still not inclusive of the goal. Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on you, Shane. I know what you're learning.
I think everyone wants to just straight away ditch their fruit and veggies and stuff like that. Like you got to keep them in. That'll keep you full too.
Yeah, of course. One thing that I thought would be interesting to dive into, Cam, is like from the social and the mental side of your progression now, obviously to the standard you are achieving pro status. Has there been an element of like pressure on you? Because I know the bodybuilding life and going pro or whatever comes next wasn't exactly at the forefront of your brain when you started. Do you feel like there's been an element of pressure now because of the status you've achieved?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Because I've gone from this guy who was a fan of bodybuilding. I still look at myself as more of a fan of bodybuilding than an actual pro bodybuilder. I've gone from being that guy to now this guy who has a bit of expectation on them, and like you're expected to look a certain way, you're expected to live a lifestyle, and it's been a bit tougher than I thought it was going to be. You come out of the show and you're all like, hyped up, you're excited. Fuck yeah, that was like a warm-up pro card. Like, you're hyped up, and then that kind of fades away after a while, and then you kind of like, well, shit, like, we got to keep this lifestyle up, even though because I wasn't living this lifestyle 24/7 before I won my pro card, because that wasn't even really something that was, like you said, at the forefront of my brain. It was just kind of something that just happened. Like I just wanted to compete. I wanted to win the under 80s because on my first time competing, I got third in that category at the nationals. So I was a bit salty about that. So that was my main goal, was just to win the under 80s, So, and then the pro card thing just fucking happened. But,
I think that humbleness that you've got is going to carry you a lot further in this sport than you realize. There's a lot of people that get that pro card status and their head swells instantly, and they suddenly think that they are something that they're not. Because again, now you kind of, another thing from the pressure aspect as well is that the pool of competitors you were dealing with in the amateur league to now the pro league, you've worked your way up to the top of the pond, and now you've jumped in the ocean, and you're now a minnow against sharks again, and you've now got to chase that again and work back up. So I guess, is that like exciting to you to feel that progression again, and like you've now got to chase people, or again is that a bit more daunting because of the level you're now chasing at?
Bit of both. Like, it's exciting to progress my body, to want to bring something different, but it's also very daunting to, like, these guys overseas, man. They're fucking no joke, right? Like they've got, like, so some of these guys are at the top of the 212 weight cap. Like, I weighed, I think the day of the nationals, I was like 76 when I woke up in the morning. It might have been like 77, 78 when I competed. So these guys have got a good, 20 kilos on me. So, like,
that's also a lot of room for progression on your physique, though.
Shit.
Yeah. It's so that's exciting to be able to progress like that. But like, so I'm also very, like, I don't have this expectation on me like I'm gonna go out and just like smash my first pro show or anything like that. I'm like excited to just go there and see where I stack up and how I actually look against these guys, you know.
I think that's definitely a fair thing to do. Go and see how you fare against the boys that are at the top of their league and see realistically how long it's going to take for you to achieve the next goal.
Yeah.
But again, now you've got the pro status, and again, drawing back on your goal within this bodybuilding thing that we do, has that changed now because you've now got this potential, Olympia, you're now a pro, you have the potential now to qualify for the Olympia. Has that changed for you now? Is that something long-term that you're now in the back of your mind thinking maybe this is now achievable?
Yeah, I'm thinking my sights are set on competing first, seeing where I stack up, and then I think the next goal will be like to try and win a pro show, you know. So
nice to hear
Olympia is not really in my like. I still see myself as more of a fan of bodybuilding, you know. Like I don't know. I just don't see myself. Maybe after I compete as a pro, maybe then I'll have a different outlook. But for now, I'm still excited to compete and just get up there, you know.
So
yeah, awesome.
Do you still classify yourself as a hobby bodybuilder?
I think so, because it's not like I'm still going to work every day, man. Like I'm still not living the bodybuilder lifestyle like to the fullest, you know. So like it's still, I don't live an ideal life to be the best bodybuilder I can be. So yeah, I still see it as a hobby, you know?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think that's another exciting thing, though, for potential future that in a position where you could live the full bodybuilder lifestyle again, and what could happen in that new territory.
Yeah. I think well, coming out of this last off season, definitely I could make a lot more strides if I didn't have to go to work, because I was finding myself super exhausted. Just being like heavy, training, like just that was because I hit some like maybe like I was 7 kilos heavier than my last off season, this one now, and I found that super challenging. Just
well, there you go, guys. You've heard it. He needs a sponsor. So anyone listening, he needs to quit his day job so he can concentrate on this. So any sponsors, hit us up, comment, DM us, or go directly to his Instagram page.
You're not considering OnlyFans account for your feet or something, like just quick, easy money?
Hey, man, if someone wants to pay for it, tell them.
Hey, why not? Why not? All right. So, what do we expect to see from you in the future? When are you planning on competing next, and where?
At the moment, we've got penciled in some shows in September, so I think that's like 30 weeks or so away now. I think one of them maybe Dubai or Spain. I can't say Spain, so they're penciled in for now because like we were planning on doing something in July. But I think this was based off the last season. I think there was like 3 shows that were back to back, and that would have been like a really good gauge to see where I'm at and to get like maybe 3 shows in a row, different peaking strategies and that sort of stuff to bring a different look. But for now, it'll be 2 shows in September.
Cool, nice.
So we're doing a bit of a tidy up phase now because I was just getting too heavy and too tired. So we're I think we'll run this for another 3 weeks and then see where my body fat's at. I think we might do a little push up and then maybe come down for the show. So I think we're 30 weeks out now. So I think maybe start dieting around 20 or so.
Mate, I can't wait to see you on stage, and hopefully I'll be able to come with you. That'd be awesome.
Well, I mean, hey, look, Spain's a throw over the pond for me. So if Dean's coming over with you, I'll definitely shoot across on a fucking hour flight. That's for sure.
Yeah, that'd be sick. Yeah, well, I definitely want Dean.
40 pounds.
Definitely want Dean to be there because this whole fucking thing's his fault anyway. So.
Yeah, it's your fault, you fucker.
Will he be in London? Will he be in London at that point?
I'm not sure where he'll be. Yeah, but
I can't remember what he said. I don't know if it was spring or if he was going to be at the back end of the year as well. Either way, that'd be sick.
And for anyone listening, you want a little bit of advice here. Anyone who's young and considering getting into the bodybuilding scene, what's the one piece of major advice you would give them?
I spent a lot of time in my early years because my first show I did when I was 30. So I spent a lot of time in the gym because I used to train from when I was like 18, 19, just fucking around, like just going there, doing too much, not eating the right foods, going out and drinking on the weekends. Being like, it's it's a regret of mine, like not learning, not getting knowledge behind me when I was a lot younger as to like the right foods to eat, the right way to train, the right way to like track your progression. Just yeah, so that would have been a game changer for me. Like if I would have got my pro card maybe 5 years ago, we'd be having a different conversation now.
Yeah.
But that just wasn't my life path. So.
I think something to say about like mileage on a physique as well. You know, seeing these bodybuilders that start competing very early on, they get good traction, start achieving quite good results. Some of them tend to fizzle out before their prime because they just can't. It's just too early to start. But I think sometimes it's not a negative starting later. Like you competed at 30, considerably quite late. We look at competitors now, even some people at 19, 20 stepping on stage, juiced to the nines. There's a certain element of mileage on your physique that you haven't accumulated now that is fresh territory again to reaccumulate as you progress. So Samson Dwyer is a perfect example of this, how late he got into bodybuilding and how fresh his physique looks in comparison to others at his age and weight.
Yeah. Well, I think my PED exposure and all that sort of stuff is still very low. Like
I did want to touch on that slightly. Like, did you notice a difference in whether it be drug load, compound selection, other compounds outside of anabolic and androgenic steroids that were used in your prep for the pro card as opposed for, well, I mean, obviously it wasn't perhaps intended for the pro card, but that prep to your previous?
Compounds we used. So I think everything was pretty much the same for anabolics. Besides, I think we used Deca for my first show. I ran that all the way up to the show. And this time we just switched it out for Anabar. So it was pretty much we used Test and Anthate, Masteron and Anthates, Anadrol, and Anavar. And the Anadrol was only added in, I think it might have been 3 weeks out. And yeah, so that was the 3 androgenic steroids we used, and then we used 3 IUs of GH, and that got pulled out the last week before the show, and we used I think just injectable L-carnitine, and that was it. Oh yeah, and like Clan and T3, but I didn't use T3 for my first show. This is my first time using GH and T3.
So relatively a lot lower in terms of compounds used, and I'd assume milligram usage as well with those compound use. I mean, the 3 IU of GH is a perfect example to talk about here. Like we see people now jumping on like 6 to 8 to 10 IU per day, thinking that they're achieving some external goal here or getting more progress because of it. And you're again prime example of a little going a long way.
Yeah, I think even this offseason we've had now, we've only just gone up to 4 IUs GH, which is still not a lot.
I think definitely that risk versus reward model too. Like these people out pumping 9, 10 IUs a day is just increasing their risk profile exponentially. And what's the saying? Is little is more sometimes.
Less is more.
More is more.
More.
Yeah, well, more does more, but less.
All right, Cam. Look, we thank you very much for coming on our show today, mate. We do appreciate it. Anyone who's listening, go on his Instagram, give him a follow. Cam, looking forward to seeing you on stage again, man. Like what you brought to the stage last time is incredible. Can't wait to see you up there with the pros. But everyone else listening, thank you very much for tuning in today. This is The Real Talk with George and our guest, Cam George. Like always, please comment, like, and share. This is the only way we can get this out and about to everyone and get that content out there. If you got any comments, questions, hit us up in our DMs or on the YouTube. I'll pop the comment down below. But guys, until next time, this is The Real Talk. Peace.
Thanks for having me.